Interesting take by Nuri Muhammad. I don't want to waste your time. Let's get right into it. Check this out. Wait, hold on. Let's make sure the audio is on. All right, cool. We're good.
It's no coincidence that whenever in 1867, 2 years up from slavery, when in the halls of Congress, when they began to discuss whether or not they were going to allow black people to go to colleges and universities, the ruling on the floor was we'll let them go to colleges and universities, but they can't come to ours. And when they go to theirs, any black college, there's three sciences that must never be taught to these slaves: the science of finance, the science of warfare, and the science of mating.
Watch the full interview with Brother Nuri Muhammad now at INeverKnewTV.com premium. All right, the elder once told me, right? Well, elder told me this recently, actually. He said 30 seconds of pleasure can destroy a whole generation. Now, I've heard 30 seconds of pleasure could destroy a life, right? But it made me think, though, right? So I wanted to ask, what do you think about this quote? He said 30 seconds of pleasure can destroy a whole generation. Why do you think we need to put more focus on mate selection in our community?
Well, I think that you what he had to be speaking of, I'm just trying to put some context to help me to grasp the content. But I imagine if we could interview him, he was speaking of that 30 seconds of pleasure. It had to be sexual pleasure because 30 seconds of pleasure that comes from drinking a soda pop is not going to produce a destroyed generation. But if 30 seconds of pleasure produces a child that broke a relationship, and then from that, a cycle can continue where you have generations of children and parents. The unfortunate reality about us, I just read a study the other day where they said it's not just for black people, but the American people. 94% of American people have never read a book since they got out of high school.
I believe it.
Think about that. So if we're not reading, where are we learning from? See, one of the other things that was established in education, they say that the formula for learning is core, CORE as an acronym.
Let me stop it right there. Let me stop it right there. In fact, let's go back to what he said. Rewind this part.
Reading, where are we learning from? American people have never read a book since they got out of high school.
I believe it.
Think about that. So if we're not reading, where are we learning from?
Mm, right there. Right there. If we're not reading, then where are we learning from? Not even just where we learning from, whom are we learning from? Whomever has your attention has your ascension. Never forget that. So he says powerful points. And what where are we learning from? First of all, let me ask you in the chat. Let me ask you in the chat. When was the last time you read a book? Put the book name in the chat and tell us when. When, okay? When was the last time you read a book? And it doesn't mean all of our viewers here because we're all studious. But the average person, like think about your best friend, think about your sister, your brother, think about those individuals, maybe your parents, right? When was the last time you've seen them lock in and read a book, or did they speak about a book to you? So where are you actually learning from? Reading is not the only way to learn. As he mentioned, he was going through a breakdown of core, right? Um, and we're not going to go that far. I just want to touch on the fact that 30 seconds of pleasure can destroy a generation. Mm, this is powerful stuff. So I do have some notes here that I'm going to share with you all. But first, let's get into it. When you talk about 30 seconds of pleasure destroying generations, I want you to think about a system that already destabilizes the family. So this 30 seconds of gratification is not on accident, it is designed. Okay. First and foremost, one of the reasons why we have broken generations from 30 seconds of pleasure is for weak sexual discipline. Weak sexual discipline. Uh, uh, Another one would be weak pullout game. Okay. You get your yeah, look, get your pullout game strong. Okay. So When we think about like the weak sexual discipline, short-term pleasure over long-term legacy. Yes, being with someone is an amazing feeling. Yes, no doubt about it. Now, the other factors play into this is the surface level attraction. First of all, the weak sexual discipline is not by accident, it's designed. Everywhere you look around you, they say sex sells. Everywhere you look around you, someone is being sexualized. Everywhere you look around you, there's content, there's media, there's something that's at play on your conscience. So I want you to think about the surface level attraction. Most relationships are built on looks instead of actual core values. Looks and status. So sometimes you might get with the person because of the looks, and sometimes you might get with the person because of the status, but both things are temporary. So in relationships, relationships have a funny way of mirroring you. If you are looking for a relationship with temporary factors, then your relationship mirrors that and it becomes a temporary factor in your life, right? So if you're looking for looks, looks fade over time, your relationships will fade just as fast as those looks fade, and sometimes even faster. If we're being super honest and super transparent, a lot of times we're getting with other people, but we should be getting with ourselves. So another thing I want you to know is the lack of self-awareness. So the lack of self-awareness, this is what gets people the most. People enter relationships not knowing who they are, not knowing what they truly want, and what it does, it creates a fragile bond. It creates a fragile bond, meaning that if you don't have a strong foundation within self to stand on, anything you build on top of it can be broken easily. If you build a house on a weak or shaky foundation, what can happen to the house? That's your relationship. So you need the relationship with self. And then you want to think about systemic attacks, right? Separating the family, so the incarceration, even like mass relocation, like that's a whole thing you might want to dive into. But your status matters because maybe your family lineage, you probably have someone in the family who broke apart of the family. So what do I mean? Let's explain it. So you got into this relationship with someone, or let's just say your family member. So your great 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 grandfathers, right? Cool, great 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 grandmother. They had a relationship. They had a family. They had children. Those children grew up to have family of their own. And then out of those siblings, one of those siblings break from the pack, or maybe two of those siblings break from the pack. They'll go on to have their own family, which their family never really know their siblings, and then so on and so forth, and it trickles down. We have all been victims of this. You can't escape it. If your last name is Jackson, you might be related to some other Jacksons that you have no clue about. If your last name is Smith, you might be related to some other Smiths you have no clue about because the family system has been broken, right? Over generation. But let's stick to the main point. You have to select your mate better. Let's just be real about it. Let's just be real about it. We already spoke about it. We have weak sexual discipline, surface level attraction, lack of self awareness, and systemic attacks. This combination is literally what's breaking the family down by within that culture, generation by generation. So this was a broken generation by design. A lot of people like to go against or argue the case of it being racial, but it's not so much more racial than it is status. So now, how do we fix that? You have to be the person that creates a high status. See, when you create a high status for yourself, you get into networks with other people with high status. When they say your network creates your net worth, this is what they're referring to. So if you're having generation after generation in poverty, chances are they're going to repeat the same cycles of their relation, because of their proximity to the people that's around them. So if you truly want to fix the family dynamic, if you truly want to fix the generation, the next generation that's coming up, you need to raise your status. You need to become a high status person, an MVP, a most valuable participant, a high attractive character. You need to be the most attractive character. You need to be in your Mac. Okay, you need to be in your Mac as the MVP. You need to be the most attractive character because if not, what's going to happen is you're going to build or continue this system of building families in a broken system. So let's solve it. So when it comes to weak sexual discipline, a lot it's either we want a lot of partners or we can't. Well, I'll put it this way. So most of us want a lot of partners, or we want a lot of sex, right? It's just one of the two. And sometimes a lot of sex can create a lot of children. Now, if your finances don't necessarily match that of a child, like I believe in order to take care of a child, you need about 50 something thousand dollars a year. This all of these stats are just random stats that they give us, but the point is if it's hard enough for you to take care of yourself, imagine adding a child, not only financially, but the time commitment that it takes to raise a child in a manner that produces them to be the best versions of themselves. You need a lot of time, you need a lot of money, especially in this particular era. So we need to reprogram the way we see our sexual discipline. Every Friday night we just can't go out and just randomly do things, especially if our pullout game is not great. And as a woman, you have to have that man put protection on. I know you might not, you might not like the way it feel, but what do you want to do? You want to have a child with the man who's not willing to be there for you, or put a condom on. I mean, just which one? So the sexual discipline has to be. You have to increase the discipline. If you're a man, do you want to have a baby with a woman who's not fit to be a mom as your come on, like, or do you want to put a condom on? Or do you want to pull out? Okay. So if you might not want to hear it this way, but let's just be real. We all could be real here, okay? The surface level attraction, this has to stop. Yeah, just because she looks good, yeah, just because he looks good, this has to stop. Because that leads into that weak sexual discipline. Weak sexual discipline with strong sexual desires, bad combination. Now, when we talk about the lack of self awareness, you might want to get with someone else and you might think that they complete you, but they don't. They complement you. You are used to being brainwashed by these thoughts, and maybe you're not, but most of us are, that this is my other half. This is my better half. This is my significant other. I want you to start to realize that in these thoughts manipulate your life. So the more you're around music that's telling you these ways of being, to disrespect and degrade the counterpart, not the counterpart, but the opposite sex, the more you're going to be in this broken cycle, perpetuating hate amongst each other through men and women. So you must get to know yourself. A lot of times we want to jump from relationship to relationship and we are carrying the same old baggage. But let's just be real here and let's just be honest. You need to work on yourself. You need to have a relationship with yourself first. The relationship with self first is the number one relationship you must have. Then it's the relationship with God. And then it's the relationship with whomever you have in your life. If you don't believe in God, you believe in the source, right? Your relationship with self, then relationship with source, because your relationship with self will create your relationship with source. And this comes through learning. But if you were to just sit down and just meditate, pray, what would happen is you would get downloads because this is a conscious world. We're full of consciousness here. That's what we're all tapped into. As soon as we are no longer here, we lose consciousness. That means we lose our ability to live in this world the way that we know it, because this world is about consciousness. So we must be conscientious of the way that we are interacting with what it is that we have in this life. And in this particular case, it's the people around you. Are you creating mutual beneficial relationships? Do you like this person because of their core value? Do you like this person because of how they make you feel and who they're showing up as? Or do you like this person because of what you can gain from them? Do you like this person because of how good the sex could be? Do you like this person because of how attractive this person is and how good they may look next to you? You have to rebalance the way that you're looking at your partner or your potential mate. And then last but not least, be aware of the systemic attacks. Like this world right now, we're going through a lot of tests, and you just might be tried. Okay, you're building a relationship with a man who could be a known criminal. How far could you really go with that as far as your children go? And this is not to disrespect any criminals, but you're a criminal. So there's a game that you're playing that you're risking your family's lives, and most people already know this. Now, this could be women, this could be men. It doesn't matter. It's not about the sex. It's about the intention. So that whole incarceration thing, you could be a guilty person, a criminal, or you can be a person that's not guilty. You don't have to do anything, and you could be a victim of a deliberate attack from an agenda to incarcerate people. The whole relocation and the whole poverty centered push. Understand that if you're not reading, if you're not educating yourself, you are being distracted by something else. And most of us choose entertainment over reading. We all do it. We all do it. Now, it's about your discipline and your consistency that allows you to overcome these potential hurdles. So, once again, 30 seconds of pleasure can destroy generations because it's designed this way if you are not conscious of what you are actually doing, your sexual discipline, your levels of attraction, your awareness, and the systemic attacks that's been placed on you. Because believe it or not, there is an agenda. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. You can go do your own research, but this is just my take. And I think Brother Muhammad says something that was so profound. And in fact, I would love for you just to go listen to the entirety of the interview because this guy is going to give you tremendous value. This is just my take on it. Once again, I do believe that 30 seconds of pleasure can destroy generations if you are looking for the wrong things or if you have the wrong qualities. And it's not about the right or wrong, it's more about workable and unworkable. Weak sexual discipline, surface level attraction, lack of self awareness, those are the things that will get you shut down when it comes to building your generation up. Your operation will be shut down as quick as you could think it. It will be shut down as quickly as well. So what I would love for you to do is rebuild your culture, rebuild your mindset, rebuild your discipline, your level of attraction, your awareness, and watch out for them. Watch out for the systemic attacks because guess what? You are the MVP. You are the most attractive character. So your opportunities that you get are based upon your level of attraction. So let's stay attractive, my friends. Peace, love, and beautiful energy. I will be seeing you all soon. Stay tuned.